Well, grace and peace to you all. Thank you for your understanding that I'm not with you this time, and I hope that you all are doing well. Um, I did get an email about resources, so I'm hopefully going to email you some links to hear Hebrew and move further along, and if you want to continue to learn Hebrew, whether it's based on the Bible or just kind of conversational or just songs or whatnot. So um, I hope that you connect with them. We're going to move a little bit along. We're going to go into chapter 7 from I looked at the syllabus and we are about a month behind, which is fine because you set a syllabus and you just go. So I'm happy with the way things are going. It's a tough thing to study, but I know that you all are trying your best. And the hope is for me to show up on the last class in May, and I hope to see you there. Um, for our class, this is what we're going to do. We're going to just kind of do a little bit of exercises. I spelled exercise. Look at that. I spelled it wrong. Let's see if I can edit that. Oh, I can. There we go. That's better. From chapter 6 and go into chapter 7, which is not plural nouns. Um, but we're going to chapter 7, and then we're going to continue reading our verses from Genesis that we kind of started last time, and hopefully um, we'll do a little bit more. This is gonna be our last blast is going through these verses in Genesis 9, so I hope you're enjoying it. It's definitely an adventure. Oh, I totally missed it. Well, I gotta move me. Let's move me. Nope, nope, I don't want to do that. Gonna move me and make me a little smaller. Ta-da, ta-da. There I am. Here I am. I'd rather have you see the text rather than me a little bit. Um, so I thought I'd start our time with a devotion. Um, it's Holy Week has passed, and now we're in the season of Easter. And one of the Hebrew phrases that we hear during Holy Week is Jesus's famous words, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," and we definitely hear that as my God, why have you forsaken me? I don't know about you, but I know that when I started studying Hebrew and Greek, I looked into this and wanted to know more. We definitely hear a translation from the Gospel of Matthew. Um, and it's important because one of the things that Matthew was a deeply Jewish scholar. He studied the Torah, and so when he wrote this gospel down, and Jesus said something that was in Hebrew or Aramaic, he translated because it was important. So what we get in the Gospel of Matthew is Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani. In another gospel, we have Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani. They There's Hebrew, and then there was this language called Aramaic, which was based in Hebrew but had some Greek influence. So we'll get that in the New Testament here and there. I wrote the Greek, if you can see it, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. That's the Greek. And it actually comes from Psalm 22. Psalm 22. So I copied the Hebrew in this line, and it's actually In our English, it's verse 1. In Hebrew, it's verse 2. Now, why is that? Well, all of those little subheadings that you might have in the Psalms are actually the verse 1 in Hebrew. So in our English, um, we have to the leader according to the Deer of the Dawn, a psalm of David. That in Hebrew is verse 1. And then it goes into what we know as my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me from the words of my groaning? So Jesus spoke these words on the cross, and it comes from Psalm 22. Of course, we know that Jesus is the Son of God, and Jesus studied the Torah. He was in the temple. We remember the story of him when he stayed back, and his mother and father had to go find him, and he was studying and he taught. The Psalms were used very often in worship, and we know that Jesus preached in the gospel. We know that Jesus read from the Isaiah scroll, but the Psalms were most likely very near and dear to many who were gathered. And so it comes from a psalm. The Psalms were like, if you ever catch yourself singing a hymn, just off the top of your head, that's very much what the Psalms were. They were songs and words that you were working and you were saying a psalm or singing a psalm. And a lot of the times the Psalms were meant to be sung. Psalm 22 is a psalm of lament and is categorized as such. So in the Hebrew, you can see in verse 1, we have one word that you definitely might recognize, and it's this last one right over here. It is La David. La David. So remember, or David, we know that the Lamed means of David. And these are kind of like a colon, kind of like an end semicolon. Oh, it's just not a semi, more like a colon. That's the punctuation. Um, and we have me, which we learned is from Zamor. So that was more of like songs or psalms. We have La Netzach to the La. We have the Lamed, which is to, or of, and we have the underneath it, which makes it the to the leader al, which is about. Al is about. Ayelet ha shachar, and that would be the deer of the dawn, a psalm of David. So that's verse 1. Then we go into verse 2 in Hebrew, which we know as verse 1. And you might even recognize a little bit of this. You can probably read it. I'm going to read it and I'll give some space and then you can read it as well. Eli, Eli, lama azabtani. I'm going to do it one more time. It's the highlighted letters. I've figured out how to do highlighting in PowerPoint. I'm learning. Eli, Eli, lama azabtani. Tani. Doesn't it sound very similar to that Greek that we read, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani? Very similar. There's definitely some differences in the pronunciation between the Greek and the Hebrew. So what do we know? We know that the Aleph and the Lamed is God. That's one of the words that we had way in the beginning of our time together as God. So that together is God. And the E at the end is possessive, and that is always my or I. So we have my God, my God. So then we have this word lama, and that is pretty much just a question of why or what. Um, that's a question. For another example of how that's used is in Genesis when the Israelites are in the wilderness and they hear um, they see this flaky substance on the ground, and they ask mana, what is it? So that's a question, and that's what it means. And manna, that's where we get manna in the wilderness, mana. So why? And then we have this last word, azabetani. And that, let's see, did I? Nope, I didn't. But the word comes from the root. Let's see if I can draw. Can I draw? I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna try and draw. The root word for this one is, try and circle it. Oh man, undo, undo. Um, try and undo this real quick. Come on, computer. All right, back to draw. I push this. Is ein, see, Einsehen bait. And if you look that up, that means leave or forsake or lose. So that is the root, 3 root letters. Now we have all this at the end. And all of these pieces at the end, which I'll kind of, let me see if I can draw. These pieces at the end is more possessive, and again, it's a singular plural. The ta is like you, and ni is another form of me or my or I. So we have Eli, Eli, Lama, Azaba, Azabatani. My God, why have you forsaken me? So that is our first. I thought maybe you'd be interested in that and um, continue to listen for the Hebrew that's in our New Testament as well and kind of understand Jesus a little bit better. I hope you had a blessed Easter. I had a wonderful Holy Week. as well as Easter. It was great to gather for worship. St. John gathered with the United Methodist Church in Town Hermosa United Methodist Church, and we shared spaces and worshiped together, and it was lovely. So I hope you had a blessed Holy Week and Easter as well. Before we continue on, let's have a word of prayer. God, we thank you that we can study under you. Thank you for your Son who gives us freedom, freedom of life, freedom in you. May we always remember our freedom, and may we give your freedom to all. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so hopefully I'll do that. And we'll go to the next slide. Well, let's warm up our minds again with just the Hebrew alphabet and the Hebrew vowels as well. First one we have is Aleph, and we have Bet or Vet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yod. Then we have Kaf or Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ein, Pei, Fe, Sadi, Kof, Resh, Shin, Sin, Tav. Those are the letters. And then we have the vowels. We have the Patak. I'm going to say the name of it, Patak with A. Then we have the comets that looks like a T, comets. We have the Hirik, which is the E, the dot. We have the Sere or A, which is the two dots. We have the Segol, which is the three triangle dots. Segol, like in bed. Then we have the Cholem, which is O as in roll, and it's either a dot above the consonants or above a vav right next to the consonant. And we have the Kibbutz, which is the U, that's the triple dots that go down, like staircase, like stairs. Ooh, kibbutz. Ooh, like in pool. We also have another U, which is called a surik, and that is in a dot with inside a vav right next to the consonants. So we have U. Then we have the chatav kames, which is like half, cut in half a T, which is visually it's the two dots right on top of each other like snowman buttons next to a little tinier ah vowel. And then we have the Shiva, which is the two dots, which is kind of like it's not pronounced, and it can also be used as a syllable marker, kind of like a rest in a word as well. How about that? Well, I just wanted to look just briefly. I'm going to move my picture for you all. Let's move me over there. In just a little bit recap of what we did last time in chapter 6, which is some going over some vocabulary and just a recap of some of the regular masculine nouns, feminine nouns, the plural, what we kind of looked at. So come along with me and let's kind of review. On the top of we have Moab. Then we have, actually, okay, reverse. I'm going to start with the right and go left. So we have the ach, which is brother, and then we have Moab, which is the city, the area. Underneath that we have Eretz, which is land or country. And then we have Eved, which is slave or servant. Then we have Derek, which is road or way. And remember, I always remember this because, like, you may know of a person named Derek, so that means road or way. And then they give us the root letters for cross or over or pass, which is Ein, Beit, Resh. Ein, Beit, Resh. Then we have the plural for they, the masculine, which is Hem and Hema. Hem and Hema. We have the word for city, and cities are feminine, so it's ear, like an ear, but it's a city. Then we have the feminine they, which is Hina, Hina. And then we have Am, which is people or nation, and that's masculine. Then we have the word for mountain or hill, which is Har. Then we have the three root letters for the word send, which is Shin, Lamed, Chet. Then we have the word for day, which is Yom. Yom, like Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. Yom is day. Then we have the word for there, which is Sham. Sham, there. It pointed out that the word noun Derek can be either masculine or feminine. Fascinating, right? And Hayom can either mean the day or today, right? And they also said when the ha is attached to Eretz, it becomes Haaretz, meaning the land. You might have heard that a little bit more in just your years of going to church of Haaretz. Some pronouns have two forms, and both forms have the same meaning and are interchangeable. We have hem and hema. So that's just an example. They showed us how we understand plural in English. It's either adding an S or an ES. And in masculine plural, we have just an im. We have im attached. So they give us two examples. We have melech is king, and then we have malakim, which is kings, plural, malakim. Another example they give us is davar, which is word or things, and the plural is dabarim, dabarim, which is words or things. Looking on to the next page, we have feminine plurals, and they have the ot at the end, ot. So land, we have eretz, right? And the feminine lands would be aratzot, aratzot. Feminine nouns like mishpacha, the end in the a, always lose the hey when the feminine plural is added. So they give us the examples. We have mishpacha, and then we have mishpachot. Another example is bahima, and then bahimot, animals. The feminine nouns ending in tav often lose the letter tav when the feminine plural is ot, is attached. So they give us more words to kind of, again, you can kind of mark this page and as a reference, really. And they give us the examples of masculine singular, and then it goes to the masculine plural. I'll read the bottom of the peoples and nations and people and nation, and I'll read the bottom of the regular feminine so you can hear pronunciation. We have is people or nation, singular And if you looked at that, that's a final meme, so it looks different. A regular meme is a triangle with a little chimney, and a final meme I always think is like a box house with a tiny chimney off to the left of it. So and the plural for that word would be amim. Amim. Then at bottom we have young woman, na'ara, and young women would be na'arot. Na'ara, na'arot. Okay, let's go to the next one. Not too bad. Move me over a little bit. It's a little bit better. Then we have some irregular plural nouns, and they show us what they are. Just kind of, these are also ones to reference because they don't fit the form. For example, we have ish, that's a single man, and in the plural we have men, right? English, that was easy. We have anashim, anashim. And then we have woman, we have isha, and women is nashim. House, ba'it, and houses, batim, batim. Daughter is bat, daughter is banut, banut. And there are some masculine nouns that take the feminine plural ending, so it's another one you just kind of have to reference. For example, av is father, and fathers is avot. Avot. City is ir, cities is arim. Interesting, huh? Interesting. And the word fathers is masculine, even though it has a feminine ending, and the word cities is feminine, even though it has a masculine ending. Wonderful languages, huh? We have plural verbs. They give example of we learned about feminine and singular verbs, and we learned how to the pattern for the plural verb is shown in the perfect tense below. So they give examples of how the X's are consonants and how it would be written. So he guarded, right? We have shamar, he guarded. And they guarded would be shamru, shamru. Good example. Zakru is they remembered. And zakar would be he remembered. They give us some examples. This page on to this side is good for you to keep a reference of like what is the gender, what is how it looks like when it's and reads when it's singular and plural. So keep that in mind as well. In the bottom of that, it says the plural form of anashim may be translated as men or people. So that's important to understand when we read the Bible as well. For example, when they say that all account of men, for example, in the people of Israel crossing the desert, it could be translated people. So we don't know if that was all women and children or if it was just the men that were counted. We have no clue. But we know it's a lot of people that wandered the wilderness with Moses. The plural form of banim may be translated to sons or children. That's important to know when you're reading scripture in the English and wondering about the Hebrew words as well. Moving right along. We also learned about prepositions. We learned about the lamed, to or for, the chaf, kaf, like or as, the bet, in or with. And they give us some examples of the inseparable prepositions that take the shava. So for example, to or for a brother, we have la'ach. And then we have a sentence. We have ha'ish, halakha, la'ach, b'mitzra'im. Ha'isha, halakha, la'ach, b'mitzra'im. We have the woman. We have walked. We it's to walk or go, or went, and that is in the feminine because we have a feminine subject. We have to a brother. We don't because it doesn't have a the, and then in bait, and then the word Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. Then in some circumstances, the inseparable prepositions take other vowels, so they give examples. For example, like kim, lachim, as kings. Then they give us a sentence. Ha, achim, halaku, kim, lachim. The brothers, ha, lachim, halaku. That's a plural ending. The halaku is plural ending for went or walked. Ki, kim, because we have the shava under the mem, so it's kind of a stop. Kim, lachim, walked as kings, plural. And then on the next page, we have when the prepositions of bet, kaf, and lamed are attached to the hey, the, and then they gave us how they would change. For example, we have bait, which is house, and then in a house would be bait. The house would be ha bait, and in the house would be ba bait. Same along with the father, we have av, which is just father. We have la'av, which is to a father. We have ha'av, which is the father, and la'av, which is to the father. So it kind of gives you the progression of what they would look like. Now, it's kind of what in studying Hebrew and looking at the Old Testament in English, at least in how I've come about, is that you kind of keep these in the back of your mind of how they're attached to the words. When and if you wanted to look into the Hebrew, the most important thing to find are those root letters. Find the root letters, and then when we can remember that lamed could be meaning to or for, or the kaf meaning like or as, or the bet meaning in or with, then we could set those aside and focus on the root letters and then reintroduce it back into our definition of what we're trying to define and look up and translate. So those are, write them down, mark a book. It's better to use your resources and kind of remember where to look them up than to just kind of try to memorize them. I'm still in a good position. Maybe not. Let's see. There we go. Then they give some more examples of inseparable prepositions. The preposition lamed is often interchangeable with the preposition el, possibly. So they give an example of the man crossed over to a city. We have Haish, Avar, El, Yir. Then the man crossed over to a city. We have Haish, Avar, Yir. Same thing. So we just kind of again highlight it and remember that as well. The lamed can mean either two or four. So he sent animals to a man. We have hu shalach bahemot laish or laish. He sent animals to a man, or he sent for a man. We have hu shalach laish, and then he sent for the man, hu shalach laish. So you can see the change. They added the underneath the lamed for the the. So that's what we have. That's what we learned in chapter 6, and that was our key. Oh, I'm gonna grab 1 minute. Hang on.
You know, it's the worst thing a guy that runs a cemetery can do to somebody wrong, or I'm just grateful it wasn't a full burial. Yeah,
Right? I've done this, though, that was the first time that I've gotten to a cemetery. There was an opening, and the wife was like, that's the wrong spot. So, well, it's okay. I mean,
well,
it's a nice family that you're working
they
with.
are, they're very nice. Yeah. You know, I just, well, even if they were just gruntle, I would just make an effort to make them in.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
So, well,
If you make it out to St. John's,
okay,
that'd be
no
fine.
problem. No problem. How is the Dunhams?
What?
How are the Dunhams
Oh,
doing?
I believe they're doing okay. I know that I've heard some people were Dennis had Julie had some surgery, but she's doing okay.
Good. No, I hardly see him anymore. I know he's got,
Got a lot going.
I heard it once.
Yeah.
Today is the
13th. we're gonna meet on the 23rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So far, it looks like it's gonna be a good Sunday.
Yeah. Uh, they're gonna come at 11 the whole family and watch me bring them up. So
Yeah.
that may be an emotional thing. I'm kind of gun shy of things like that, because I don't want Jean's wife to get upset when she sees me.
Right. It's just kind of, yeah.
But it'll work out. I told hey I'll be surprised. Grandma, her name, Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah. So I like this place. This is a very nice church. I lived in Moseley for 40 some years. Thank you for
You're welcome. Yeah. Take care. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. No. Just be careful. You have a good day.
well, you as well.
Yeah.
You
Enjoy.
as well.
I heard you drive bus, don't you?
No.
No. Oh, you don't. Okay.
No, 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 no. I am retired.
Oh.
I've been retired for 8 years. But I still work every day. I take care of the city buildings. I manage the Senate building, the rec center, our bathrooms, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm the police commissioner.
Oh. Okay.
Buggers asked me, you want to be the commissioner? Really? So I've been that for 8 years, and then last spring they made me the president of the police
Oh my
commission.
goodness.
So what else do I do? I don't know. Anything for an honest buck.
Yeah. Sounds like you know what? If you like it and keep going, that's the best medicine.
So, you know, you know, I've learned long ago, that I'm the worst paid smile painful that others see a smile feel better. And it's true. It's true.
Absolutely.
You know?
Even for yourself.
Yeah. It's contagious. Look at your smile.
I try
It's
once in a while.
contagious, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy the sun. Thank you. All right. Well, I have to edit that. Well, let's look at let's see what I have next. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go on to chapter 7. Now I'm in a better spot. I bet you I can even make myself a little bit bigger. Let's do that. Yeah, I can. Chapter 7 begins on page 50 and it's an oral review. Usually everyone starts with 1, so I thought I'd start with number 3 and I'll read it. And I hopefully will read it slow enough so that you can catch up and go from there. We have Banot, Mitzrayim, Avru, LeYerushalam. I'm going to read it one more time. Banut Mitzrayim Avru L'Yerushalayim. What is that? Well, I have to look. We look at the words that you do know. The one we have is Mitzrayim. We have from Egypt. Mem means from. And then we have the Yerushalayim, which is L is to, right? And we know that Yerushalayim is Jerusalem. Banut. We have a plural noun there, don't we have? What is Banut? Look it up. It's plural. I'm going to get to the right page. All right, the daughters. You're right. The daughter. Look at it again. Banut. That would be daughters from Jerusalem. Avru. What does Avru mean? The root letter is Ein, Beit, Resh. That is the past. Remember, that's on page 40. So the daughters from Jerusalem passed or crossed over to from Egypt, crossed over to Jerusalem. Then we have Banim, Mitzrayim, Avru, the Yerushalayim. We have the masculine plural, the im at there. So it's still plural, and it's still the daughters. Oh no, sons, masculine ending, mean, the sons. Then we have the next one. We have banim, banut, amdu, b'mitzrayim. We have a different verb. So we have plural, 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 plural. Well, really. We have sons and daughters stood in Egypt. And the last sentence in 3. Hema avru lemitzrayim vehem amdu b'mitzrayim. How would you translate that? Hema. What is Hema? Look in your words. Hema. So they, Hema is plural for they. They crossed over or passed from or to Egypt, the to, and another hem is they stood in Egypt. They crossed or passed to Jerusalem and they stood in Egypt. That's just a review. Let's go on to the next page. I'm still in a good spot. And the next page, of page 51, we have more vocabulary for us to learn and to remember and mark as important. I'll start on the right side of the page, and we have the root letters for eat. Aleph, Kaf, Lamed. Eat. Then we have the root words for say or tell. This is one that you will find a lot in the Old Testament because God says something and people say something. So Aleph, Mem, Resh. I just remember the plural for like they said as Amru. So I just remember that from classes. How fun is that? Then we have we, masculine or feminine and plural. We have, how it's pronounced is anachnu, anachnu, we, anachnu. I in the singular or feminine is ani and anuchi, ani and anuki. You feminine singular is at. You masculine singular is ata. You masculine plural is atem. You feminine plural is etain. Sit, settle, or reside. The root letters is yod, shin, bet. This is a fun one to remember. The no or not is lo, lo, no. Bread or food is lachem. Before or in front of is lifnei. Take, the root letters for take is lamed, kaf, chet. Take. Upon, about, on, or over is al. Could translate to any one of those. And you just have to read the sentence, kind of read more of the story, and then you'll know and understand what it's all about. Subject pronouns we have is they, we have hem and hema. We have they feminine, which is hena. He is who, or it's also it. And she is he. On the list on page 51, they go down and talk about first person, second person, second person feminine, third person. So we is an I is first. Second is you. They or he, is third. And plural. And that's really neat. I highlighted those, you could tell. So that's an important thing to kind of remember. The first person singular and plural pronouns I and we are used for both masculine and feminine subjects. Second person pronouns have masculine and feminine forms. Then we have examples. We have ata, dressed as an individual male, at, individual female, atem, so a group of males or a group of males and females. Remember, it can also be people. And aten, it's a group of feminine females. Go on the next one. The perfect tense of the pattern is pa'al. So we have hu shamar, he guarded. Then we have she guarded, he shamra, they guarded, hem or hema shamru, and that's the masculine, and they guarded feminine is hena shamru. And you could see how they labeled it out where the consonants and how the perfect tense, and it's usually the vowel pattern for perfect tense. The forms you have learned belong to the verb pattern called pa'al pattern. This is one of the 7 Hebrew patterns. We're not going to get to all of this, but I think it's important to at least know this perfect tense or to become a little bit familiar because we have been working on it. And the chart below shows the perfect tense from the verbs shamar and the pa'al pattern. So if you've ever studied a language, you've always, parsed out something. So this is Hebrew parsed out. This is more for information for you to understand. And if you would like to learn more, you're more than willing to and want to go and continue in the book, you can. So for example, we have I guarded is shamarti, you guarded, shamarta, you guarded feminine singular is shamart. He guarded is shamar. We've kind of had that a lot. She guarded is shamra. We guarded is shamar nu. You guarded masculine plural is sham ritem. Sham, sorry, shamar tem. Shamar tem. You guarded feminine plural is shamarten. So kind of remember that women deserve a 10. So that's how I remember the plural for feminine, 10. They guarded is shamru, and they guarded is shamru. That's in the feminine and masculine, so you can't tell. You kind of have to know the context. Whenever we show you a new pattern, we'll ask you to memorize it. No, I'm not going to memorize it. We'll just go to the next page. So the following chart shows the forms of the perfect tense with the appropriate pronouns. You can read the pronouns if you would like. Ani, anuki, shamarti, I guarded. Then we have we guarded. Anachnu, shamarnu. Anachnu, shamarnu. We guarded. You guarded. Ata, shamarta is the masculine. And then you guarded plural masculine is atem, shamar tem. It's kind of easy when it's the masculine plural and feminine plural. I'll go down below to the feminine plural because it has that ending that if tem masculine plural, 10, 10 feminine plural. Then we have a 10, shmarten. He guarded. Hu shamar. We heard that a lot. You guys are good with that for sure. Hu shamar. He guarded. Hema, shamru. They guarded masculine. Then we have he shamra, she guarded. And the feminine plural they is hena shamru. So the verb is still plural. It's just is the um and what it's hem or hema or henna hen ten. And then we have I stood, I remembered, I went. So they gave like the verb forms in the first or second. So I stood would be amadti, I remembered, zakarti, I went, halakti, I said, amarti, I took, la laka lakati, and I ruled, malakti. Subject pronouns will sometimes be used with perfect tense verbs for convenience in this text. Negative sentences. The sentences are usually made negative in Hebrew by using lo, not, or no. Here are some examples. So they give us examples. We have Avraham halak el ha'ir. Abraham went to the city. And this is the negative. Avraham lo halak el ha'ir. Abraham did not go to the city. Amadnu baderek. We stood on the road. Lo amadnu baderek. We didn't stand on the road. Lo. Let's keep going. So this next page we have, this is part of the exercises, and you can see that I've translated them. Write the correct perfect tense verb forms using zakar or malak and translate them. So we have ata, example they have ani, and then they gave an example, but I kind of wrote what they are just for my own. Is like ata is you, masculine, at, you feminine, who is he is she. So you can try that on your own if you would like. I think what I wrote, let me double check here. No, I didn't want that. No. Wrong thing. This one is for class I had you for chapter 7 is exercises 3, 5, and 6. Oh, chapters, yeah, 3, 5, or exercises 3, 5, and 6. So 3 is read these perfect tense verb forms aloud and translate. So I thought that would be a better one, and try at least 5. Maybe we can do one together. Let's do number 9. Let's do number 9. So on page 54, number 9, we have halku. Ooh, so that's plural, like they walked. Shamru, what did they do? They guarded. Avru, they. Now, it's plural, right? And what we can, yeah, do we know if it's feminine or masculine? No. We just know that it's a plural they. Then we have Shema, Shema'u. They listen. Shalahu. What does that translate to? We have Amdu. Aklu. And Malaku. They rule. So we have some new ones in there as well. So that's how you would say that, and I think that might have been the trickier one because we know that is they, and we could be plural, they, masculine or feminine. In row 8, we can see that the ending is 10. So we know that it is they, feminine, 10. So translate. 7 is tem. We know that's masculine. And in 6, the ending is nu. So it's we. So look at the endings and translate some of that. Let me see, did I go to 5 or anything? I'm not quite sure. No. So that's just a flavor of what the exercises are for you to do. I thought we would just finish our time with the continuing of Genesis 9. And, ooh, I gotta make myself smaller. Make myself smaller over here. Oh, over here. I don't really need, just kind of. Okay, transition. There we go. Here I am. So I've highlighted some words in 3. This is the Hebrew 9, Genesis 9, verse 3. So I thought I'd read it. Kal Remesh Asher Hu Chai Lachem Yihye La'achla Kierek Eshev Natanti Lachem et Ho. That's all of verse 3. So how are we going to break it down? There are four, 4 words that are the same. And we have, let's see if we can, I don't know if it picks it up in this document. We have the yellow, which is coal. We have coal. And what does that mean? That's an easy one to remember. That means like all or everything. And at this time, if you have a Bible, you're more than welcome to open it up to Genesis 9 to kind of look at it as well. I had it in my Bible and then I took my paper out. So now I gotta flip back to it. Here we go. Genesis 9, verse 3. So we have, what's the first word in English in Genesis 9:3? It's every. So it is. It's all or every. Then we have 2 words, resh Asher. So I believe, let me see if I can, oh, it did flash real quick. I believe we translated Resh in the previous, or maybe not, maybe we started Resh. The root letters are Resh, Sheen, Resh, Mem, Seen, Re, Mes, Remes. And I didn't look it up, did I? Nope, nope, nope. So that, if you looked up Resh, Mem, Seen, Resh, Mem, Seen, maybe I can do it over here. You would find the word moving. Go find it online. Keep going. Found it. Creeping, move, lightly move. Um, so every move. And then we have a share, and I believe that's what I looked it up, a share relation. So I looked it up and I highlighted. And there was a lot to it. It actually, I highlighted two pieces in my lexicon. We have the Aleph, Sheen, Resh, and over here I highlighted Asher. So remember how root letters, we have that, and then there's kind of different variations. Like the root letters for king also means kingdom and rule, right? So same for this Asher, Asher, and actually means happy, and it's also the name, we know that one of Joseph's brothers was Asher. So when you translate, you kind of have to know if it's a name or if it means something, and it means like part of a relation. And then when oh, I have to move myself for the next part. So there was just a really long, it started on one page, 81, and then went to 82, and this is still not all of it. But when you look up in the lexicon, you'll find the root. And then the trick is to find the reference to the book and chapter and verse that you are looking at. So I found GN is Genesis 9, chapter 9. That's where we're in, and verse 3. And then you have the translation, all moving things. And in fact, which are living, you have that piece, Asher, who, we have the Hebrew. Let's go back because that's really tiny. We have this. We have Remes, Asher, Hu, Chai. Everything that moves. So every moving thing, living thing. Then we have Lachem. So Lachem, what is that? Did I look it up? I did not. Did I look it up? Nope. Lachem. You can look that up as well, or even just look at, it's a plural of like to you all, lachem. Every moving thing that lives shall be food, lachem, for you, you all. Shall be food for you all. Then we have this Yod He Vav He, which, oh, I gotta move myself. Ooh, move myself. There we go. That's a better picture of it. Yod He Vav He. We have that in the light green, which is also another name for the God, and it's the name that God gives to Moses, and also means to be. But here it's not the name of God; it's actually the verb to be. So it would be Hey Yod Hey. Hey Yod Hey is the verb to be. And just as, and then the next thing we have is la ach la, la ach la. What is that? And I believe, nope. What did I look up? Looking. Okay. This is coal. We have coal. So everything, just as every, what I, is k yerek. Kierek. I looked that up. Didn't I? There it is. Yerek. Yod Resh Kaf. That means green or greenness, gardens. So like veggies, herbs, that kind of green growth. And then, of course, I found so even though it says Genesis 150, this verb is also found there, kind of like and that is actually a story of creation. We have it found in Genesis 9:3, so it's green and goodness. So that's how I looked that one up. Then the next word is esev. Esev. Then I looked it up. We have ein, seen, and bet. We have, and all of those means herb or herbage, so green leafy herbs, herbage. And this one was quite long too, and it's has references to Genesis, but I did not find our reference, but this is where it comes from. So green veggies, herbness. So, and even if you looked in 3, I gave you the green plants. We're not quite there yet. So we have all of the plants. This natati, that means I give to you. We just learned that like t is the ending for you, and the e is like a possessive, and natan is actually the verb nun tav, and aleph is the verb to give. See, did I look it up too? No, I didn't I? But that's so if you've ever heard of the word Nathan, that's what it means. It means to give. I'm gonna look it up real quick here. Nun. So Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Daleth, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Hek, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, noon. Then we have a tav, noon. Oh, it's noon. Noon, tav, noon. Natan. Natan. Give, put, or set. So I give lachem to you all everything. And verse 3 in English, every moving thing that lives. We have that every moving things that lives. This is in those third ones. I give to you all. Right? Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you all. And just as I gave you the green plants, ke yerek esev natati, the green plants I give to you all, I give you everything, lachem et, to kol, to all, or everything. That's verse 3. Well, I hope that helped a little bit more. I think what we're going to do is read a little bit more in our last class together, is kind of ask some questions. I'm going to send some links out to help you listen to Hebrew, and some fun ones and some serious ones. And I think for our last class, we're just going to sit and look at some words and continue on chapter 9 in Genesis. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me via email or give me a call. And I'm also going to forward you my new cell phone number so that you have it as well. Until we meet again, God's peace, shalom, and may the sunshine fill your day. Thank you. See you next time.